Greetings and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new in classic Trek.
Not today, though. Not today.
Not today. I'm just going to make noises. This episode was prime for noise making.
That's
so
right.
That's my best tribble. Is
Yeah.
I'm your
That's
Captain Mariah Gossett. With me on the view screen we have
Clyde Haynes. Hi, Captain Mariah, friend Mariah. You know, if nothing, just throw rocks at him.
Yeah. And I'm Paul Satachi, the guy who sleeps all over the place on the med bay floor. I just fall asleep.
Just one tentacle through the throat. Everybody's taking a nap. Yes, tonight we are talking about More Tribbles, which was directed by Hal Sutherland, written by David Gerald, and The Survivor, also directed by Hal Sutherland, and this one was written by James Shermer, from the animated series of Star Trek. Before we jump into discussing tonight's episode and all of the many sound effects I know we're inevitably going to do at each other for the rest of this evening, before we somehow divulge into some sort of food conversation, just a couple of reminders. Paul, where can people find links if they want to share the show or join us on Patreon?
Hey, guys, subscribe to our podcast at Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. All links are at StarTrekPod.co. And if you can join us over at Patreon, and you can join us over on Patreon to get access to our community Slack, which will probably change to like Discord in a moment or something. We'll see. Something will happen.
Yeah, something will happen. But visit us at StarTrekPod.co or Patreon.com/StarTrekPod. If people are hanging out with us live on YouTube this evening, how should they participate in the chat, Clyde?
They should turn into a clone of one of us and then talk to us. No. Just type capital P, capital O, capital D, capital pod into the chat, and we'll take a look at your thoughts, your questions, your comments, your complaints. And then in a moment, you can just type in capital HF for your overall thought of this particular episode.
Indeed. Okay, I think it is time for us to dive into some
Hot freaks!
It's time for some hot breaks. We'll start with the More Tribbles. What did you all think of these giant furry pink things that get absorbed up through another little orange bleep blop thing up its butt?
It just has a butt mouth. That's all.
Just a lower mouth.
I'll go first. I thought it was good enough. As in, I'll just give a preview. If you remember last week, I was very much about if you just put it in the right context, it's actually super fun. It's kids and stuff like that. And so I watched these two episodes and I go, not these two though.
Didn't quite hit for you. Survivor and More Tribbles. More Tribbles.
Here's the thing, most of the other episodes, I have a vague memory, and I go oh, nostalgia. And even this, I have a vague memory and nostalgia. But in these two particular ones, there was just it was just so.
It's very repetitive. Both of them were very repetitive.
Yeah. And there's one point where the Verudian, what is it?
Vendorian.
Vendorian, that's right. The Vendorian basically explains exactly what happened that we just saw. Yeah. Or and so
that happened a lot. We watched it on the view screen, or in the Survivor at least. Yeah, if we're doing a combo hot break. Yeah.
So it was for kids who are I guess had narcolepsy and just fell asleep through 5 minutes of it, and
I wonder what time this aired on Saturday mornings.
I think it was 9. It was either 9 or I think it was 9 a.m. or something.
So it's for when you're still a little sleepy, you're eating your cereal, you're crunching so loud you can't hear the dialogue, so they have to do it again.
maybe I remember I would watch Star Trek the anime series simultaneously on Sundays because there was reruns by that point with I believe the show was called Ulysses 3000, and it was a Ulysses thing, an Odyssey thing in space.
Oh, okay. I was Ulysses S. Grant? What are we talking about?
It's Ulysses, right? Ulysses, yeah, that's right. Ulysses S. Grant 3000. So basically, like
this time the war's even worse.
That's right. Giving new light to the word civil.
Oh, no.
Anyways, so I think I was fairly awake, but I think, I have a nephew and he is young, and one of the things that I learned is that like shows like Blue's Clues and whatever the new one is now, the Bluey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like what you do is you just keep on repeating the same stuff.
Yeah.
Because it makes people feel, okay, yeah, that's right. I knew that. And so like, because when you're a kid and you're dumb, like when you go, oh, I knew that, it makes you go like, oh, I must be smart. And that's a good thing. Well,
I'm sure it's also a repetition of teaching. Like like the Blue's Clues of it all,
Yeah, Blue's Clues, yes. Bluey, there's not a repetition. Bluey's actually amazing. If you ever sit down and watch it.
Like if I'm ever
it's hilarious.
Hey nephew, just so you know, your mom and dad aren't always going to be around because they're going to die one day. Let's watch Bluey and they'll explain it to you.
Well, Bluey is less educational than some of the others.
It's probably more social emotional learning than it is like traditional academia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's one of those things where I'll be in the kitchen. One of my kids is watching Bluey. I'm cooking something or doing something, and we'll just find myself laughing out loud. Like it's hilarious. But I'm struggling, I think, with something similar to what Paul's struggling with. And that is there at some point I have to remind myself that this is a children's show because it doesn't feel like a children's show. And we talk about this episode. There's a lot of throwbacks in this episode. Like, again, there's no explanation of what the Tribble is. And they're talking about like, hey, I've seen you again. Like there's this whole thing that is like, it's actually really interesting if you've watched TOS and you're like, oh, but if you're a kid that's never seen Star Trek, I'm like, it's weird. It's just,
I know it is funny because there is that assumption. Yeah. When he's like, we meet again, talking to
the Jones.
Yeah. Which is fun. So interesting. So Kuhn brings up this More Tribbles felt like it could have easily been a TOS episode. It was a pitch for a TOS episode. And essentially really? When I was reading, where did it get? So The Trouble with Tribbles was originally pitched for a third season during the as a third season follow-up for the original series. And DC Fontana were on the convention circuit together, and essentially she was like, oh, hey, like, I bet we could get you to just write this as an episode of the animated series instead. And so that's what happened. And he said very little actually didn't get included in the episode, even with the shorter runtime.
No,
I mean, that tracks because it feels like this was for people who normally watch Trek. Like,
yeah. Did you know this was rated the 9th funniest episode of the Star Trek franchise?
Tribbles?
Of the entire franchise?
Yeah.
Like, and the first one would probably be City on the Edge of Tomorrow, Forever. That's probably the funniest. Like Space Seed would be number 2.
Let me see if I can scroll. So this is from CBR. Who do pretty good listicles. Usually I enjoy them. They have the Trials and Tribulations as number 1.
Trials and Tribulations. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
That's the Tribbles
2
one,
is
right?
Bride of Chaotica. 3 is Trouble with Tribbles. 4 is Looking for Par-Mach in All the Wrong Places.
That's pretty good. That was pretty good.
Capid from TNG. I Mud from TOS. Menage a Troy from TNG.
That is actually really good.
8 is A Piece of the Action, TOS, and 9 is More Tribbles, More Trouble.
Piece of the Action, not so. You don't like Menage a Trois, where Troy's mom, has to sleep with Frankie just to get him to shut up and not kill her daughter? I love that. That's so.
Funny
with the light music, yes. With oh, that's That's dark.
It's interesting. I think we did a watch along of that episode a while back, and it was just kind of cringy.
Mhm.
Why was it cringy? I mean, it's gross.
It's cringy 'cause it's gross.
Just yeah, it's,
like cringy is that episode in season 1. You know, that's the cringy episode. Well,
Star Trek has like a number of cringy episodes that haven't aged well.
Well, yeah, of course. Going back to our triple episode,
our giant tribbles.
Yes, they're giant tribbles.
Giant.
Essentially, the episode
Fat
is
tribbles is what they call them.
If you haven't watched it. The Enterprise encounters, a small, like personal vessel that's under attack from a Klingon ship. And then the Klingons are like, give us back the prisoner. The prisoner ends up being Cyrano Jones, who is the OG smuggler of the Tribbles. And there's been a catastrophic environmental disaster seemingly caused by the Tribbles on a Klingon territory. And what they really cared about, though, is the Glommer, which is a genetically engineered creature to eat and be a predator to the Tribbles. Who, can you guess what other episodes a Glommer has made appearances on?
Oh, I don't. I can't think. Is it Prodigy?
Nope.
No, I give up.
Lower Decks. It's from I Have No Bones Yet I Must Flee. It's from our same episode.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
It was in one of the cages in the
Eat cut. Like
the Naginarium. Yeah.
The more I watch, like the anime series, the more I go like, oh, people just stole stuff. Like, you know.
I mean, Mike McMahon had a field day because the more episodes we watch, the more when you click on weird random things that show up in the animated series, the other things, if you go to appearances, are all just Lower Decks episodes.
Yeah, so we like it just did the research and then just like copy but yeah.
It has also shown up in an additional modern Trek series. Any other guesses besides Lower Decks?
Picard? No, Picard.
Yeah, it was Picard. Kestra has a Glommer plush toy in her bedroom on Neptuneth.
Yeah,
which I was like, I would love again a Glommer and a Moopsie plushie. So funny, and would buy.
Yes, but somehow I would imagine you might have trouble sleeping
with a Glommer
and a Moopsie plushie. I mean, that's like saying, "Hey, can I have a plushie Jaws to sleep with?" I had a plushie
shark.
Like, no, I'm not talking about a shark. I'm talking about Jaws with like the teeth and the like that.
Yeah, you might know this about this Mariah, Clyde, about Mariah, but she actually has no bones.
I have no bones.
Well, then that works.
She's Moopsie proof.
Yet I must flee. I am very Moopsie proof. I'm made out of titanium. That is a fun fact.
In fact, like she's friends with Sia, and that's why they wrote a song about Mariah. If like I am titanium.
Oh, not Sia. Not for me. But yeah, I think of the two, I actually probably between More Tribbles, and The Survivor, it's like there were beats that were funnier to me in the Tribbles episode. But what's so funny to me is once you've started watching the series this close together, you realize how many plates they reuse.
Yep.
So there's the constant whenever the ship, if it's just an overhead shot of the bridge, it's the same shot every time, even if there's different people in the seats in the episode itself, which is very funny. And that one's supposed to be them all like getting rocked, but they also use it for when they're just like going through space. So it doesn't even have like a variation. I did like seeing OG Klingons in More Troubles. Their costumes, I was like, oh, these would be really, I can see how like cosplay really birthed out of this era, you know?
Sure. So I'm gonna be honest, I struggle with that a little bit.
Whoa, hot take.
Hot
Clyde.
I'm aware that it's 73. here's my thought. Like, when I look at Klingons in TOS,
Mhm.
I'm largely looking at a white actor in brown face with Asian features, like the hair and stuff like that.
Neo.
And I'm struggling with some. So I'm like, but you know what? Special effects aren't quite as advanced. I give it a little bit of a pass. My issue with the animated series is the animated series does such a great job at creating these aliens. Like, it's where we see a Cation, like a full-on Cation, right? And I'm like, wow, like you have full-on ability to move. And yet what I see in a Klingon is the exact same thing I see in TOS. And so I go, you know what? But I'm aware that we didn't really give forehead ridges into the motion picture. So that's going to, like, there's an evolution of Klingons. Like, there's a whole, like, we get, like, here we're still not getting, like, the code of honor and all the stuff that makes Klingons such an incredible kind of alien species. But it was just a little like, I don't know, something about animation that made it hit a little different for me than when I see it in the live action. That was the one thing about Klingons that I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. But yeah.
It's like, to your point, Clyde, it's like where they've started and then where they ended up, it was such a much better, like, character design, and I'm glad for the shift. And I know I'm of the minority who also didn't mind the Discovery Klingon evolution either, but it is strange that they didn't feel like they could go even, like, harder into, like, oh, how can we really make this look like different from humanoid people, you know?
I mean, like, I can see how they did it. I mean, like, because they were lazy. You could see how much
it's a very
you know how much they recycled the cells, like, you know. Like,
the one shot of Spock looking down at the thing where he turns and talks, they use all over and over. The only variation we got was during the Survivor. They put the extra, like, security woman in there, who also only had, like, 4 facial adjustments ever.
Hey, it takes time for things to get good, and then inevitably sink in quality and, like, be a parody of what its goodness was. But anyway, neither.
I did think there was some actually silly jokes in both of these episodes. My favorite is more so, I think, in the Survivor, as they, like, made fun of, like, oh my God, if there's more than one McCoy, then it's like we actually have an up to par medical staff.
Like,
that was hilarious. Yes.
Like, I thought that was a great throwback to, like, you know, if you watch TOS, it winds up, if you watch it, like, you know, just as a comedy, it actually has a lot of places where, especially the endings, it has the more moral kind of, like, you know, like, here is the moral of the story, and it has that sting, that, you know, the musical sting, usually at the Kirk and the Spock and McCoy bit.
Yeah, I actually thought the McCoy and Spock bit throughout this episode was one of my favorite parts. Right, like, in talking to Bones and afterwards, Spock is like, have you ever noticed, like, have you ever known him to say he was wrong? Like, that's not him. Like, that whole thing, like, their back and forth was
pretty good.
Was really good. My favorite joke, though, is definitely Uhura saying, "We can always throw rocks at him." Like, I just that set the episode off for me. I was like, oh, this is gonna have some nice tenor to it. But again, I felt like I got it because I watched Trek.
The original Trek.
I did think the Carter Winston storyline was, like, very funny to have to overly explain, because, like, why this person was important. You could have just, like, I don't know. It just, I looked it up and I was like, oh, is this someone who's, like, really in depth in the the lore? And I was like, literally only ever in this episode. So never brought back again. But I really love the design of the Vendorian. I think it's so cool, and, like, like, I don't know. I like weird sea creatures, and that's just what it reminded me of.
Sure,
I did think the relationship between the Vendorian and our security officer and was like a very weird thread throughout the episode where like I thought it was compelling at first when she, your heart breaks for her when essentially this man is like, I don't love you anymore. And we don't yet quite know that he's not who he says he is. This is like our first clue, and then, but then when she like lets him go in the slowest chase I've ever seen in the tiniest hallway.
I love it. And like, you could have stopped him. I know, but I couldn't shoot the image of the man that I love.
But I'm like, you could have just stunned him.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's the delivery is so bad that now I'm thinking about it, I'm laughing in my head.
It was so bad. It was like, it reminded me of like that Gal Gadot like meme where she's like, enough champagne to fill the Nile. It's like,
exactly.
To fill the Nile. And like,
that scene kind of set me off a little bit. I was like, seriously? And then I had to remember, I just kept telling myself 73.
That's right.
Because I was just like, I was thinking they would never give that type of storyline to a male character where
like I couldn't shoot the woman I love or whatever. Like I had to do my duty. Like
she's a security officer,
a lieutenant.
Like, this is a lieutenant. This is your job, and you let him go. It's not him, and you let him go. Like that would never have flown.
So what you're saying is like if I start writing, scripts where like the male character goes, I can't shoot her even though she's not my wife, but the image of it, I can't. I'm sorry.
I mean, this feels like a Nick Cage movie already, and I'm ready to throw money down.
So already, Clyde, you're overextending there. Like I understand what you're saying, but Nick Cage could do it.
Nick Cage can do anything.
That's right.
Yeah, it's Nick Cage is a singular entity.
But yeah,
that struggled me. I struggled with that a bit.
100%.
And then they doubled down by going, "Can I be the security guard to guard him?" Like, what are we doing?
Oh, but here's my thing. She's gonna go bang that weird little creature because there was tension at the end of that scene when he's like, maybe I could learn to love you, and it's like Shatner v. Shatner in that final like conversation. I was like, did they lose the original voice actor between tapings, or was it always Shatner and I just didn't realize it, and he just like lost whatever version of the accent there was prior to that final scene at the bridge?
But yeah, like I hope so. I hope they do it.
She's gonna go have weird freaky
it would not be the first time. I mean, the benefits is it's a new experience every time.
Winston was voiced by Ted Knight. I noticed that it for the final scene with the Vendorian, it was definitely Shatner. Yeah.
Maybe it was ADR,
Well, it is ADR because it's voice acting.
Well, there you go. You see? What I meant to say is that like maybe they recorded it and then as they were putting it together, like they needed another line, and then that actor had already left.
Yeah.
Ted Knight.
Oh, Ted Knight. Yeah. I don't. It was but again, this one was another episode where everything was very repetitious. Like the more Tribbles, it was just essentially like moving Tribbles back and forth. They get big, then you shoot them and they get small. And then, they're able to figure out a way to stop them from multiplying when metabolizing food too fast to get so big.
But I guess in a way, like it's really not about the Tribbles, even though the title implies that it's about the Klingons with the
it's about the Glommer.
Energy damping, and so like it's a lot of things. Like, I feel like there are things that happen that aren't Tribble related. In fact, nothing happens Tribble related that
until the very
matters.
end.
That matter. Like, it's about like Klingons trying to get Cyrano Jones. Which,
to your
by the
point,
way,
there's a
is
lot of
great
threads
name.
in here.
Cyrano
Jones.
I love that name. That's great. Cyrano Jones.
There's a lot of threads in here that I don't know that we actually get resolution on. Like, did the gray never get to the planet? Was it helpful? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of like just no resolution in a lot of ways.
Like, well, a lot of those, what you call it, grain ships no longer have engines, so
just gonna pull them along.
But one of the things I did really like about the episode is how everyone pronounced Quinto Triticale differently.
Well, but that's another thing though that I was thinking. Like, there's these moments where you have a word like that, and you go, "Kid show," like.
Yeah,
like, that's why it's easy for me to forget that this is a kids show, because it's not designed like a kids show.
Like, it what's so funny about that? It's like it's so throwbacky to the first episode with the Tribbles, because the Quinto Triticale is like the joke where I don't expect you guys to know what Quinto is, and then Spock goes like, "Oh, Quinto Triticale, subspecies of blah blah," and then like, oh, look, and then Chekhov goes, "Oh, it's Quinto Triticale." He goes like, and Kirk goes, "Does everyone know what this weed is except for me?"
Yeah. The other thing that was like, I don't know, I guess interesting to me is the setup of the lore of the Vendorians and the Romulans, which also eventually gets us. Do you want to guess what episodes these guys make some appearances in?
Episode 2 or 1? No, I think 1 of like Lower Decks, right?
It's episode
1 or 2.
I think it's 2. It's Envoys. Yeah, it's when they go down to that planet and Boimler encounters one.
Caves,
and
baby.
Caves. And it's like main push of Caves, which is an incredible episode.
Yeah.
For them to have their morality test from the Vendorians.
Those are the only ones, right? They never make it back, right? Like, I forgot about them. All of Deep Space Nine. So like, because there are shapeshifters. Yeah, like there's that other shapeshifting species in TNG, like, where Wesley like falls in love with the basically smoke.
So like princess. A salt vampire? Oh no.
No. It's a smoke princess, and like she's basically energy. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a princess. The TNG crew are escorting her somewhere.
She's from one smoke planet to another smoke planet.
So it's a part of a negotiation or a treaty or something, and then Wesley and her fall in or something, and then he realizes that that's not her natural form. So
and so like what I remember most about the episode is like Wesley is talking to Guyan, and he goes like, I'm never gonna be in love with like her, like anyone like her again. And Guyan goes, yep. There's more context to that, but you can watch the episode to figure out what the context. But like, effectively, Guyan goes, yep.
Yep.
Guyan was great.
It's fun. But yeah, the Survivor, I think it plays on a lot of the like classic hijinks we've seen now, where we get a lot of, like there's the body swap episodes. There's episodes where people are not who they are supposed to be. The plenty of shapeshifters, as we kind of talked about last week, it is like an interesting, almost like historical text to go back and review and see like where all of these tropes essentially get their formation from, as before we move into TNG.
It does talk about, like, in a way, how and I don't want to be talking down to like to the past.
This is about to be good.
No.
To be good.
It's about to be okay. But like, so here's the show, Star Trek, and you know what? It's a scrappy little thing.
Mhm.
It's a space hour-long dramedy, effectively, where they go to a bunch of planets and see all these aliens and blah 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 blah. And you know what all that stuff costs? It costs a lot of money. And so what they do is they go, oh, this planet reminds you of Chicago, Earth, and this planet looks like a garden. And here we are in a ship, and pew 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 pew, like that's how they save money.
Yeah.
And then they make the animated series, and then they just kind of repeat what the cost savings. Like they didn't have the imagination to go like, oh, now we can do something more and different. And I understand that that wasn't their mandate, but it is pretty interesting. Like the first episode, for all as much as like I thought it was very simple and I'm so alone 300 million years by myself, so alone. At least they made that ship like really cool and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they like kind of like basically like either like a neural network or like a blossom, like like or a sperm, however you want to see that. It's all weird, organic and stuff, and that's about the coolest thing that they did. And then it goes back to like, oh, here I take it back. They had Vulcan, like the teddy bear, saber-toothed teddy bear that Spock had. But like it all kind of like just fits back into the budget limitations that came from being in the real world.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting to see. So I was looking at like the budget differentials, but I'm trying to put them in today's
monies.
Yeah.
Adjusted
for inflation. Yeah. And whatever. Okay. So the original series averaged around $175,000 an episode was what it cost to make that show, which today is just under 1.5 million an episode.
Great.
Which is, and then the animated series was made for $75,000 an episode in 1973, which is about $500,000 today. So the live action shows were 3 times the budget of the animated series.
Yeah,
which seems on par, really.
Well, it's half as long, but like, and you're recycling cells, and there's not as many shots, and it's voice acting. So like everything is so like, don't misunderstand me. It's not like it's Kung Fu Panda. You're doing you make a few cells, and I understand you want to save some money, but like, I suppose somewhere along the line they did the pilot, and then they go, oh, I'm not going to be able to recycle these cells. Like you can't recycle the
cool backgrounds and all the stuff,
or the new ships. So they go, oh, well, if that's the case, then I'll just do stuff that I already have.
Well, yeah, I want to put this in some context. So I was kind of doing what Mariah was doing and looking some things up. So TNG costs about 1.3 million an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, and Discovery
more.
I got Discovery's like 8 to 8.5 million an episode.
Yeah, special effects.
Yes.
If it's any good comparison, so Lower Decks is estimated to be about 1.5 million per episode. So what they spent on the original series per episode is what they spent on an episode of animated Trek now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious why Lower Decks to be that expensive.
Well, I mean, it's a fairly large voice cast, and
I was gonna say you got Jack Quaid, and Tawny Newsome, and Don Luke.
Yeah, but we got them before they were like, Jack Quaid did Novocaine, so like
yeah, but he was still doing what?
Still a Quaid.
True.
He was and The Boys.
The Boys. Yep.
Yeah. And he was in Hunger Games.
Was he?
Yeah.
Was he Katniss?
No.
This guy. No, but I mean, I'm Paul.
And I will say
you.
that's not a confirmed number. I'm just saying people have
Okay.
been like animated shows about that cost about this much. So
Yeah, like I mean, don't misunderstand me. I can see where you could spend the money because in this particular case, you're not recycling frames.
Right. But I like what you said though. I like what you said because I mean, if you're a producer, I'm not. But if you think about it, if I think about it from a producer standpoint, and I'm on the set, I would imagine that if they have other sets, it's super easy to be like, hey, they were shooting a Western on the back lot over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this one's going to be a timey-wimey episode where we go back to the West. I mean, there's a reason like Vasquez Rocks has been in every single series.
Which I've been to. Shout out to Lee's, who probably doesn't listen to pod anymore, but Lee's told me about it, and I went out to Vasquez Rock and had a little hike out there.
Nice.
And it was like I felt like I was on a Star Trek planet.
Is it true? Would it be in every single episode? Everything?
I think it's in every series.
Really? I'm trying to think. Like I don't. I'm just thinking if that's true. Picard.
It has been in TOS, TNG, Voyager, Enterprise, Picard.
Deep Space Nine. No Deep Space Nine.
I'm checking. Double checking. And three of the films. It has not been in Deep Space Nine.
Next time you're out here, Ryan, let's the three of us go out there.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Take a field trip.
Come in.
And,
field trip.
And whoever wants to come out like with us, you can meet us there. We do a little meetup at Vasquez Rock and take a big picture.
We'll take some pictures at Vasquez Rock. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, iconic. But yeah, it's like anytime it's like fun to play. There used to be that map of California. Also, if people are interested in being like helpful to the creative industry right now, there's a big movement called Stay in LA, which is to hopefully bring more tax incentives back to California for film production to move back to California. I don't know if you've heard, like, I was listening to a piece of an interview between like Adam Scott and
Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe, where they were talking about like they shoot a game show in Ireland. It's literally
the floor.
The floor,
It's called The Floor, and it's cheaper apparently to fly out 100 Americans to Ireland than to just shoot on. However, to be fair, there's no fairness. It's just cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to you. So you're saying that we should support more films being shot in LA.
Yeah.
I want to say yes, but I'm also aware that they shoot like episodes of a TV show at my daughter's school.
And you're like, I don't want to deal with that.
So frequently I'm like, where I got it timed where I'm trying to drop her off just early enough. And I look over and next thing I know, this road is blocked off because there's none but movie trucks. And I'm like,
that's living in Hollywood, baby.
I'm aware. And like, there's always something.
But there's lots that are empty, backlots empty, warehouses empty.
So the other part of this is I'm a fan because my day job helps build those places. And so I know we just finished building extension of the Warner Brothers lot. So I'm all for building more lots because that's good for business. And yay.
Yeah.
I'm just not happy about the blocked off roads that happen quite frequently because I live near Burbank.
I don't want to like deny your reality, Clyde. So I won't.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, there's Project Stay in LA.
Stay in LA. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, bring some stuff back. Yeah, because I know someone who's like currently having to film an NBC sitcom in Hungary and has to live there for the next 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it's a beautiful country.
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure everyone's lovely. I've heard lovely things. They're having a great time there, but they only get internet service in their basement right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
fun times.
Yeah. So I feel like per these two episodes, I think they were both very thin as far as plot.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of.
We've had to go on a few tirades to make it to about a 40-minute episode here. Yeah.
And the other thing is like they weren't emotionally engaging, whereas like the second episode with Spock going back in time,
right? or the Lorelei signal. You had some like action, some
Mm-hmm.
sequences, some stakes.
So I wonder if right now we're just in a lull where they go like, oh, let's put the crappy episodes in the center.
Well, I always, so here's the interesting. So if we look at this from a, forget about the TOS for a second, and we look at this as a brand new show with the pilot. Typically what you expect is the pilot episode is fairly strong in kind of setting the foundations. The second episode kind of takes off from that. At some point pretty soon, they get into the who are we and what is this show stage. And I wonder if we're there, right? Like
but we're not though, right? Because like it's continued from the series.
Well, so, and I think even for this show, they've got to figure out, are we just continuing from the series and we're just reusing that stuff, or is this a different franchise? I'm kind of interested to see where it gets there, because I've said this before. The first season of TNG is a hard watch.
Yeah, no, that's I can't. This is where
that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Completely in alignment. There's no Venn diagram. We are the same circle, Clyde.
It's a hard watch. The first season, but they find their footing, and when they find their footing, it gets really, really good.
Yeah, because they finally get rid of like Beverly Crusher. Oh my god.
Oh man, come on. Because Pulaski was such a hit. They had to bring Beverly back.
I think what happened is like they got rid of Beverly and they go like, oh, we needed Beverly. That wasn't the problem. It was this producer, and they got rid of Roddenberry too. I think Roddenberry was a hard. He lived longer than his what do you call it?
Creative vision was helpful.
Well, this is what really sucks, right? It's like you come up with something amazing that can grow and live without you, and you know what it does? It does. In fact, it no longer needs you. In fact, there's a point where you become, a detriment to it, and there's a certain irony in that. There's certain this is life. That's what children do, right? Like, eventually, you become obsolete, and they replace you. Like so, but now like in Hollywood, I get it, but it's a little dark.
Yeah, but I bring that up to say I'm trying to stay with this to see if it finds its footing, because I hear great things about the animated series, and I'm okay, there are a lot of people who like it.
Okay.
I'll be interested. Next week, we're going to be covering episodes 7 and 8, and episode 7 is written by Walter Coing. So I think it'll be pretty fun to see how
Infinite Vulcan.
Yeah, interprets this. So
yeah,
and even from the little preview on Paramount Plus, it looks like it has some fun animation is back. So maybe we made it through the budget episodes.
Yeah, and it's this thing, right? Like where you just go, oh. Everyone can make a stinker. No one wants to make. No one wants. But
it happens. It happens. Anything else to say about these 2 episodes, y'all?
No, I mean there was a distinct lack of food.
Yeah, we didn't have any. I know we almost made a whole episode without you bringing something up, Paul, and someone would have gotten a prize. I don't remember what it was. We promised if we made it a whole episode.
Somebody was going to tell us.
Wait, but there was like
grain. We talked about grain. We talked about grain,
and
we did talk about grain.
I mean, clearly, no one on that planet is gluten free or has any gluten issues.
Just a reminder. So here's what happens. The Organians basically made it so the Klingons and the Federation could not fight, and the way that they decide who gets this planet or like whatever is whoever can grow, have a colony there. And for the Federation, Short's planet, that's right. And the only grain that can be grown in that is Federation grain is Quattro Viticali. And so the Klingons tried to sabotage it by poisoning it, and the Tribbles found out by dying when they ate the grain. And so this is still part of the thing where here's the grain going to Sherman's planet. It's the only use for this grain. This Russian made grain.
This grain is traveling.
Yeah. Anyway,
traveling.
I will say this. This is definitely one of those things where I think it's a little bit more fun to watch it in a group.
I know you did the watch along. How was that?
Yeah, it was good. Like, it was a small group of us, but it was fun. Like, you've got some dialogue. You've got, look, the watch along group, they are really knowledgeable. So their deep cut knowledge of Trek is great. So you're getting some background. There's some jokes. Like, it's great. So if you get a chance, join our be a part of our Patreon. Come on out, join the Slack, and do a watch along with us. It's a fun time.
Yeah, like, few people know that those robot ships that were that they crashed, and like one of those robot ships was like the great grandparent of Peanut Hamper.
You know, the more
people
you know.
That.
The more you know.
The more you know. Woo. Yeah, I think that's it for me as well. I am just going to quickly plug. So I have been editing the ACLU's podcast. It's called At Liberty. If people would like to check it out, it's hosted by W. Kamel Bell. We try to make really hard things pretty easy to follow and entertaining. And we have if you're watching us live, we have an episode coming out tonight, airing for Friday. If you're listening to this later, it'll be in your podcast feeds. The show's called At Liberty, and we talk to the lawyers who are representing Mahmoud Khalil, which, if you're not paying attention to, is connected to all of these students who are getting snatched up by ICE officers, even though they are legally here and legally allowed to protest. So if you want to hear about what you can do and what people are trying to do about it, it's both a scary but important episode. So I just wanted to plug, as people who I think appreciate liberty and justice for all. Yeah, that part. So
really, justice for all? Do we want justice for all?
wait. Let me. Is that what the term is? Because I always heard justice for Paul.
It is just justice for Paul, and we've all been mishearing it this whole time.
I thought it was justice for some.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, whatever. Like, either way is good, but justice for Paul. Okay.
All right. Well, we will see you all next week. We're talking about episodes 7 and 8 from season 1 of the animated series. Until next time, y'all, live long and prosper.
No.